All right, here we go again. Defeating Adventism number 84. And so soon, that's all I got to say to myself. Really got to do another Bible flock box video. This video here is only happening because he decided to produce another one after his previous, I think, disaster video of what we're going to eat in heaven. He kind of continues the same theme here about eating in heaven, as well as what you're going to live in and dwell in heaven. We're going to be treated to another masterful exegesis by Bible Flockbox. This is a 1 minute short video like his previous video was, so these new YouTube shorts. I'm going to examine this first clip, which is 27 seconds. You're going to see that here on screen. We're going to look at his misuse of two passages in Isaiah. The passage is Isaiah 65, 17 through 25. He quotes two verses in the passage, and one of them he just absolutely just destroys. Its biblical integrity, that is. The second half of this clip of his is 33 seconds, and it's on John 14, 2 and 3. I originally planned to do it in this video right here, but after I was doing some more research on that, there's just way too much nuances and things that need to be properly explained for me to feel like I'm going to cram it into this one video, so I'm going to do two. This first video will be on the first clip of this disastrous Bible Flockbox video on what heaven's going to be like, followed by a part two. Because part two, I'm going to need to actually go into the Greek. I'm going to have to show you some separate Bible translations, all of that. Don't want to cram it into this one. So this video, his first clip, 27-ish seconds. Let's watch that clip.
And speaking about the new earth that God will create, Isaiah chapter 65 verse 17 says, "For behold, I create new heavens and a new earth, and the former shall not be remembered, nor come into mind." And when you jump down to verse 21, and talking about those who will live on the new earth, it says, "And they shall build houses and inhabit them, and they shall plant vineyards and eat the fruit of them."
All right, you just heard him quote Isaiah 65, 17, and he skips down and does 21. By the way, Isaiah 65, 25, which is in the passage of the verses he just quoted, has been a recent favorite of Adventists who are leaving me comments on the What We're Going to Eat in Heaven video, and just like Bible Flockbox, they don't understand their Bible. We're going to correct it. We're actually going to correct the proper usage of Isaiah 65, 25. We're going to correct the passage. Again, can I say, Will Adventists, will you please stop? Stop it, stop it, stop it. Stop reading Bible verses. Start reading Bible passages. Because you know what? If you're an Adventist and you were just to read the passage, then I would expect to see hundreds of negative comments on this Bible Flockbox video. But you know what? Again, I'm sure there's not. Because Adventists don't want to read and understand the Bible. They just take whatever's fed to them. And that's it. Okay, Isaiah 65, 17, and 21, which he quotes, are in the larger context, like I said, of Isaiah 65, 17 to 25. Anytime a verse is taken in isolation and out of its passage, even in the passage, but taken in isolation, and someone pours a meaning to it, I can just about guarantee you it's going to be wrong. And you know, in here, it's wrong. All right. However, his brilliant exegesis of Isaiah 65, 21 is that what? We're going to build in and live in actual houses. We're going to plant vineyards. And we're going to eat that fruit. That's his proof. He uses Isaiah 65, 17. God says, I'm going to create new heavens and a new earth. And then he jumps down to 65, 21 to say, see, in that new heavens and new earth, you're going to have houses and vineyards and you're going to eat that fruit. Let me say this about hermeneutics and Bible passages. When you read a Bible passage, the same hermeneutic is applied throughout the passage. Isaiah 65, 20 through 25 is imagery, not actual physical reality. It's imagery. That's the hermeneutic that's going to be applied to Isaiah 65, 20 through 25. When you'll see why here in a minute. If you want to apply, if you're an Adventist and you want to make Isaiah 65:20 through 25, actual physical reality, ooh, you're going to run into lots of theological problems. So what Isaiah 65:20 through 25 actually describes is, in its imagery, it's going to describe a future happiness, security, peace. That's what it describes. We're going to start properly exegeting Isaiah 65:20 through 25 with the verse just prior to the one Bible flock block cites, which 65:21. We're going to go to 65:20 first and set the proper hermeneutical tone. Let's look here. Here's Isaiah 65:20. No more shall there be in it an infant who... Now this is the new heavens and the new earth. You see what's underlined at the top in purple. This is the whole passage. Let me start reading it again. No more shall there be in it an infant who lives but a few days, and an old man who does not fulfill his days. For the young man shall die 100 years old, and the sinner 100 years old shall be accursed. Look at this again. Is this actual physical reality? Are we going to procreate in heaven? It says infants. An infant who lives but a few days. Does that mean we're procreating in heaven? How about a young man dying at 100 years old? Are we dying in this new heavens and new earth? That's what it says here, right? You want to take it literally? It says you're going to die at 100 years old. How about a sinner? We're going to have sinners in the new heaven and new earth that are going to die accursed? This is imagery, not physical reality. Isaiah 65:20 is telling us that we're going to procreate in heaven because we're going to have infants that aren't going to die. That's Mormonism. So if you want to stick with your physical reality, then you ought to just link arms with Joseph Smith and the Mormons, because that's what they believe. It's imagery. It's not physical reality. The verse is also saying you're going to live, a young man's going to live to 100 years old. Okay, so you're going to die at 100. And there's going to be sinners who are going to die accursed in this new heaven. This is biblical imagery. Here's what one of my favorite scholars said about this biblical imagery. He said this: things we have no real capacity to understand can be expressed only through things we know and experience. That's what's being done here. It's things that we know and experience are being used as a teaching tool, not for physical reality, but to teach us a larger, bigger lesson. So this verse is really an image of the future promised life, that what we're going to have none of the limits of the current life that we have here, with infants dying young, with men not living out to their fullest. What this verse is teaching us is that we're going to have a life, and a life fulfilled in the future, with none of the harshness, which is what the nation of Israel was experiencing at this time in Isaiah. None of that harshness is coming with us in the new heavens and the new earth. We're going to be free from all of that. Now, we're going to move to the next verse, and this is the one Bible Flock Box quotes, Isaiah 65:21, where he quotes it and says, see, you're going to have a house, you're going to have vineyards, and you're going to eat the fruit. He clearly believes that's a physical reality we're going to have in heaven. It's just absolute nonsense. So let's read this verse that he misapplied. Here's Isaiah 65:21. They shall build houses, inhabit them, and plant vineyards, and eat their grapes. Look at this verse. Keep looking. Really? We're all going to be cultivators of vineyards in our own house? This is a heaven of grapes, and grapes alone. Remember what I said. A passage is understood with the same hermeneutical technique as the other verses in the passage. That's why we started with 65:20. It's imagery. We're not going to be procreating in heaven and having babies so they don't die early. You're not going to live to 100 years old in the new heavens and new earth. No. That same imagery carries to 65:21. So this verse isn't actually teaching us you're going to have a house and you're going to be vineyard cultivators. So let me say this. Isaiah 65:21 cannot be understood without having Isaiah 65:22. They go together. I want you to look. Let's look at Isaiah 65:21 and 22 together, and which share the same content. I want you to note this. Look at verse 21, which is a positive statement. And verse 22 is the contrasting negative statement. So look at the verses here. Remember what I said, positive statement, they shall build houses, inhabit them. They shall plant vineyards, eat their fruit. 22, negative, they shall not build and another inhabit, and they shall not plant and another eat. For like the days of a tree shall the days of my people be, and my chosen shall live long, enjoy the work of their hands. So you see, look at verse 21 is positive, verse 22 is negative. The imagery being taught here is a contrast to the reality that was experienced, has been experienced, was being experienced at the time of Isaiah by the nation of Israel, where an enemy would indeed come in, take your land and your house by violent force, and live in your house and eat the fruit of your vineyards. But let me say this about Isaiah 65, 21 and 22. It's actually a direct reference to one of the curses, which is Deuteronomy 28 verses 1 through 46, lists all the curses and the blessings to the nation of Israel, such that they follow the entire law of God, not the so-called 10 commandments, which don't exist, 10 commandments. They follow the law of God. And if you follow the law of God, then these blessings will happen to you. You don't follow the law of God, these curses will happen to you. Isaiah 65, 21 and 22 is a direct reference to just one of those curses. It's Deuteronomy 28, 30. Look at the comparison of them together here on the chart. Here's Deuteronomy 28, 30, one of the curses. You're going to betroth a wife, but another's going to ravish her. You're going to build a house, but you're not going to dwell in it. You're going to plant a vineyard, but you're not going to enjoy its fruit. So what happens in the new heavens and the new earth? Look at Isaiah 65, 21. You're going to build houses. You're going to inhabit them. And you're going to plant your vineyards. And you're going to enjoy it. That is teaching. Isaiah 65, 21 and 22 is teaching the curses of Deuteronomy are no longer in existence. They're gone. They won't happen. It's not teaching you're going to live in an actual house and plant actual grapes and eat actual fruit. No. 61, Isaiah 65, 21 and 22 go together. They contrast each other. You can't read either one without and understand it without reading the other. It is a teaching that these curses are gone. That's what it means. Now, Bible Flock Box. Those are just that's the two verses that he quoted in his video. But we're going to continue. We're going to do verse 24 and 25 to show the imagery that continues in the entire passage. So let's look at verse 24 and read here. Before they call, I will answer. While they are yet still speaking, I will hear. Just look at this verse. It says what? This is God promising that every need will be met, even before you ask. God is the ever watchful and all-knowing provider. Just stop and contemplate that. Can you contemplate that? God, before they call, I will answer. Before they yet speak, I will hear. Do you even deserve that? I mean, when I was reading this and putting this together and thinking about this, I'm like, only by the grace of God would God make a statement like that to us, well, redeemed Christians and fallen man. It still just blows my mind, the promises of God. What I want you to do now is, now we're going to actually look at the last verse, 65. So lastly, let's look at this verse. And ask yourself, is this physical reality or is this imagery? What's it say? The wolf and the lamb shall graze together. The lion shall eat straw like an ox, and dust shall be the serpent's food. They shall not hurt or destroy in my holy mountain, says the Lord. Notice the text. Look at it again. The wolf and the lamb are going to graze together. Are we going to see an actual fierce wolf and a meek lamb laying together? Is that what we're going to see? Actual physical reality? Is that what we're going to see? No, that's not what that's teaching. You know what this is really teaching? That old enemies or fears that you may have no longer exist. That there's a change in characters and natures when we're in the new heavens and the new earth. And the ultimate point is peace reigns. That's why the lion can lay down with the lamb, because peace reigns. It's not the actual lions are going to be there laying down with lambs. Peace is what reigns. By the way, this first part of this verse is a direct quote, a messianic quote, in the book of Isaiah, chapter 11, verses 6 through 9. Let's look at those verses. Notice the similarities. Notice the contrast. Notice the peace that's being offered. The wolf shall lie with the lamb. the leopard with the goat, the calf with the lion, and the fatted calf together, and the little child is going to lead them. Verse 7, the cow and the bear. See, here we go, these contrasts. The young shall lie down together, and the lion shall eat straw like an ox. Verse 8, the nursing child is going to play over the hole of a cobra, and the weaned child shall put his hand on the adder's den. Isaiah 65:25, and the wolf and the lamb is imagery taken directly from Isaiah chapter 11. And you know what it shows? In Messiah's kingdom, because Isaiah 11 is a messianic prophecy. In Messiah's kingdom, there will be peace. There will not going to be what we are used to, because a lion can't lay with a lamb on earth. But in Messiah's, because we don't have peace. But in Messiah's kingdom, there will be peace. That's what this is showing you. That we can live without fear in the new heavens and the new earth. Look at verse 25 again now. I want you to look at this. Especially this last part. I'm just going to start at the beginning. So we have it. The wolf and the lamb shall graze together. Pay attention now. The lion shall eat straw like an ox. If you really want to believe this is all physical reality in Isaiah 65:20 through 25, lions are going to eat straw. Now remember, Bible Flock Box, when he interpreted Isaiah 65:21, we're going to all what? All are going to live in houses with vineyards and eat grapes. Now, if that's true, who's growing straw? Because we're all grape cultivators. In Bible Flock Box's literal interpretation of Isaiah 65:21, no one's growing any straw. We got starving lions by the time we get to Isaiah 65:21. See the silliness that happens when you don't rightly divide the word of truth and you teach incorrectly, like this man does. I want to say routinely he does. This verse is actually teaching no, lions aren't going to actually eat straw. For a lion to eat straw is a change in the lion's nature. That's what the verse is demonstrating. There will be changes of nature in us in this new heavens and new earth. It's not lions eating straw, which in Bible Flock Box's world they can't because nobody's growing it. The lions are going to be emaciated and die of starvation. This is imagery. Isaiah 65:20 through 25 is all imagery. We don't switch from imagery, physical reality, imagery. It doesn't happen like that. It only happens like that in cults and non-Christian religions who misuse the word of God. Consistent interpretation applied through the passage. In summary, nowhere in this entire passage of Isaiah 65 through 25 is it teaching physical realities. It's imagery. I hope you can now see the folly, the just utter ridiculous way of handling the Word of God if you think it's actual physical reality. Because if you do, this is what you believe. You believe there's procreation in heaven. You believe there's children being born who aren't going to die early, but you are promised that you're going to die when you're 100. And there's sinners in this new heaven that are going to die accursed. And we're all going to be vineyard cultivators living in some house, and wolves and lions are going to lay together, and lions are going to eat straw, which nobody's growing, by the way, because everybody's growing grapes. It's not physical reality, it's imagery of all the points that I hit in the previous part. Bible Flock Box is yet again misguiding his 500 and something thousand followers. He can't rightly divide the word of truth. He does this over and over and over. I didn't even plan on making this video, but he did it again. You know what? If you're a Seventh-day Adventist, you should be alarmed by the plethora of incorrect teaching that is being fed to you by the likes of Bible Flock Box and many of your pastors. You should be alarmed. I'm concerned that you put up with it. If you are concerned with biblical truth, then you should leave this false church now. But you know what? If you aren't concerned with biblical truth and you want to stay in your Adventist church, then then I'm afraid these are the final words you're going to hear. Not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, will enter the kingdom of heaven, but the one who does the will of my Father who is in heaven. On that day many will say to me, Lord, Lord, did we not prophesy in your name, and cast out demons in your name, and do many mighty works in your name? And then I will declare to them, I never knew you. Depart from me, you workers of lawlessness. Seventh-day Adventist, Adventism is leading you to hell with Bibles in your hands. Get out of her now.